Definition of an impulse is a strong and sudden urge or desire to act. And I'm not talking about impulse purchasing a candy bar at the checkout line. In my case, I'm talking about the Chanel wallet on chain. That's literally almost 3,000 candy bars, plus an additional couple hundred candy bars in taxes alone. Welcome to A Briefcase of Luxury, a place to learn about mindful luxury consumption. So I am a full-time business professor who researches decision-making behaviors, and I know luxury consumption is often associated with unhealthy mindsets and money habits. So let's learn about what a mindful approach to luxury can look like for all of us. Now, virtually every single one of us will fall victim to impulse purchasing at some point in our lives if we haven't already. I don't care how disciplined you are with your money, it's literally built into our human psyche. Individual consumers like you and me are constantly trying to make peace with these poor decisions, while businesses are constantly trying to encourage more of these poor decisions. I mean, you couldn't possibly think it's a coincidence that grocery stores put little single-serving chocolates and candies in the checkout line, do you? A CNN article reported that last year, shoppers spent $6 billion in checkout aisles alone on these unplanned last-minute purchases. There's an entire science behind the antecedents for why we impulse shop, and I'll be honest, this is not my area of expertise as a researcher, but man, I have some first-hand confessions when it comes to impulse purchasing. What I can tell you is this, that for every one of these reasons why we impulse buy, there are armies of scientists and researchers busy trying to figure out ways to tap into these reasons even harder, trying to uncover our weakest moments in our consumer purchasing journey and attacking us when we're most vulnerable to caving in and making a purchase. Okay, that might be a little dramatic, but it is true. Please don't think for a second that businesses don't understand how we shop, down to a complete science. So as much as I try to make smart shopping decisions, I'm only human, and there are many occasions where I've caved into impulse shopping, and I want to share with you some of my experiences. For me, I've identified 4 main occasions where I'm most likely to impulse buy. Now, the great thing is now that I recognize when I'm likely to cave into impulse purchases, I can take better control of the situation, so that's a plus. And that's all part of the journey to being a more mindful consumer. Before I jump into it, let's have a quick classroom moment, because I think it's important to recognize that we often use the terms impulsive shopping and compulsive shopping interchangeably, but that's not entirely accurate. Now, they are interrelated, but they are distinct and they are driven by different motivations and therefore have very different implications. Impulsive purchases are based on external triggers or motivations. So seeing an object that you want that you didn't want before because you weren't aware of it, you weren't seeing it with the same perspective that you are seeing it now. Compulsive shopping, on the other hand, is often the result of an internal trigger or motivation instead. And while you may trick yourself into thinking that compulsive purchases are unplanned, they are often subconsciously planned. Purchase decisions isn't triggered by seeing an object that you weren't expecting to see, but it's triggered by something within you. And oftentimes, it's the need to make a purchase to cope with stress, anxiety, or other mismanaged emotions in general. Because we are dealing with internal drivers versus external drivers, where if you remove the object of desire, the need to purchase it goes away, compulsive shopping is a lot more sinister and can often quickly spiral into addiction with severe negative consequences, not just to your long-term emotional well-being, but to your long-term finances as well. And I'll be honest, I used to shop when I've had a bad day, but heck, I used to shop when I had a good day, and neither shopping as a reward or a coping mechanism is healthy. So again, there's a specific science behind luxury consumption as well. And if you put impulse purchasing and luxury consumption together, well, that can be a recipe for disaster. For me, there seems to be 4 main triggering events. And I know your triggering events may be different, but I hope you can relate to some of these. So first, I seem to impulse buy when I'm outlet shopping. Luxury outlet shopping is such an oxymoron, but the concept of purchasing luxury products at a discount it's just every luxury lover's dream come true, and psychologically, it's so hard to pass up because we've convinced ourselves that we're saving money, even if it's on future purchases we haven't made yet. Now, I don't know about you, but my mind starts justifying why these purchases really aren't that impulsive, right? I'm saving money because this costs X dollars more online or in the boutique. I didn't get this item last season, so I'm so lucky that they have it available here and on discount. So my waiting or passing it up then is really paid off, etc. You just can't help but feel like you're getting a deal, especially for brands that hardly ever go on sale. So earlier this year, my husband and I visited the San Marcos Premium Outlet with just the intention of checking it out. And between the both of us, we spent thousands of dollars on things we didn't know we needed because in reality we didn't need them. But we absolutely got caught up in the moment thinking, man, what a steal these items were. Now the Gucci outlet was what hit us the hardest. And by us, I mean our wallets. And we worked with such a lovely essay that kept pulling out more and more stuff from the back that wasn't out on the floor. And it was honestly such a fun experience. And by the end, we're just like, heck, we'll take it all. And right across the way from Gucci was the Versace outlet, and we didn't want them to feel left out of the party, so we ended up buying several items from there too, along with Prada and some of the other stores as well. Now, I'm not going to go into everything we bought on that one trip because this is just an example of one scenario, and we have 3 more to go. But I do want to show you 3 items I bought within a period of an hour. 3 scarves in total. 2 from Gucci and 1 from Versace, totaling approximately between $800 to $900 before tax. Just on scarves, and not including other things we bought. And no one in their right mind needs to buy 3 scarves at once in Texas during the summer. Now, all 3 scarves that still have their tags on, so here's to this winter and seeing if I actually end up using them. But let me show you these scarves in greater detail because they really are nice. This is the original scarf that caught my eye at Gucci. Gray, it has this signature GG logo all over, and it also has the signature red and green stripe that runs diagonally across the bottom of it. And as you can see, it's a really neutral scarf, cool tone, and I figured, both my husband and I could wear it. The material is also 100% wool. I don't remember the exact price of this, but it was definitely the priciest one of all of them, and this was the one that was out on the floor. I want to say it was a little under $400. I mentioned the essay that we were working with was so much fun. She was so incredibly sweet, and we had picked out other items, and by the end she was pulling out stuff from the back of the store asking us if we were interested. And since she knew I was looking at scarves, she also pulled this one out, and I just thought it was way too cute to pass up. At that point I was scarf happy apparently, and so when we were over at Versace and I noticed this scarf, again, I couldn't help myself and I picked it up in this gray/silver color. And so as you can see, depending on what side you're looking at, again, a reverse color scheme, which I thought was really cool. And once you wear it, the patterns are just very, very abstract and beautiful. And all of these scarves are made in Italy. And unfortunately, I can't even tell you how well they wear just because I've never worn them. So again, I'm really hoping to put these to good use this winter. Scenario number 2, I impulse buy when I'm on vacation. I think this is one that we can all relate to. Vacations seem to bring out our fantasy selves, right? We're more likely to do things we don't do on a daily basis. We take that opportunity to indulge ourselves with food, with experiences, and with shopping, living life the way we don't get to when we're not on vacation mode. Wanting to make luxury purchases on vacation is such a bizarre thing if you really think about it. That's a really expensive souvenir, especially if the item is available back home or online. I can see how buying an item from a flagship store or an original storefront may be different, especially if the item is one that you already had your eye on, but the impulse shopping I'm referring to has to do with how subconsciously we may be counting down the days to when we have to go back to the real world, and that sense of panic and impending return to normalcy can cause us to YOLO with our finances. BBC article reported majority of people admit to overspending while on vacation, up to thousands of dollars, because our fantasy selves seem to lose all concept of our real self constraints. I want you all to meet my Giorgio Armani Palmoletto leather La Prima bag in the size small. This was a $1,600 impulsive buy in Hawaii, and it was honestly love at first sight. I've never seen this bag before, had no idea that it existed, was walking by the Armani store, saw it through the window, and just made a beeline for it. It was such a beautiful, understated bag, and in my mind, it was a 3-in-1 bag. The adjustable shoulder strap with button stud closures allows you to wear it 3 different ways. I told myself I wouldn't need another bag if I had this because it was so functional. Stupid thing was I was torn between this one and one that's this beautiful milky brown color. Barely had the sense to just settle on the black one because at the end of the day I do like how that gold embossed finish has a cleaner contrast against the black. And really, is this the last bag I've ever purchased? Unfortunately not. Let me show you what the inside of the bag looks like. Again, for being such a little bag, it is incredibly spacious. I don't know if you can see. There is technically one main compartment, a smaller compartment here where I normally keep my phone, and there's a smaller back compartment. It does have a little lipstick holder. It also comes with a little handy mirror that slides right into its own little compartment right there. A fantastic bag for its small size. Now it is fairly structured. It is so classy and it is so chic, and again, I love that you can wear it 3 different ways at 3 different shoulder lengths. Number 3, I also impulse buy when I don't want to be left out. I suffer from a very specific form of FOMO, or fear of missing out. Generally, when we think of FOMO in terms of shopping, it's this psychological reaction where people tend to buy something because they don't want to be left out. Either left out of the group or left out of the experience of owning that particular product, which again translates into a type of group membership. Being a part of a group that has that same item allows you to bond over having that item. Now, my form of FOMO is specific to my husband. I plan on making a separate video in the future about how we deal with luxury purchases in our dual income household, where both parties do have a soft spot for luxury items. I know this isn't the norm. Most women talk about the worries they have when it comes to a spouse who barely tolerates their luxury spending and don't understand their love for luxury items. I'm not sure which is worse, having a partner who disagrees with this type of purchases or at least tolerates it, or having a partner that equally participates, because now it means we have to financially plan for both parties. And FOMO kicks in when my husband buys something and I think it's only fair that I get to buy something as well. And just to be transparent, our salaries are approximately the same. I may actually make a little bit more, but not by much. So we both more or less equally contribute to our spending pool. And I can't tell you the number of times we both end up walking out of the store, each with an item in hand, because our FOMO goes both ways. And that way, we each have something to unbox and admire for the other when we get home. Take this Louis Vuitton bag, for instance. My husband went in to buy a tie, and I didn't want to leave empty-handed myself, so I bought a bag. A tie for him for approximately $220 versus a bag for me that cost approximately $1,800. I wasn't even on the market for a bag, but it was just sitting next to the ties and it matched his tie. This is technically part of the men's collection, and it is the Gaston wearable wallet for men in Eclipse with the reverse monogram. This was approximately a little under $1,800. So I didn't have a men's bag in my collection, and I thought it would be great for traveling in cities because it does have a detachable card holder that would be very handy for when you're taking the train or a bus. Yes, for those 10 days out of the entire year, if we do decide to travel to a city that requires us to take public transportation with toppable cards, then this would be extremely convenient. But in real life, I drive everywhere. This is what the bag looks like with its strap on. It does have a very substantial canvas strap that does say Louis Vuitton all across it. The color scheme of that is slightly different. It is the reverse of the actual bag. The bag itself is very much reminiscent of just the men's toiletry bag, but they market this as a wearable wallet. So it is just a very simple, open, canvas-lined compartment. Fits a lot in here. There you have it, my unplanned purchase from the Louis Vuitton men's collection, just because I didn't want to be left out. And last but not least, I impulse buy when I don't want to go home empty-handed. I know this scenario can easily overlap with the other three, but in this case, I'm referring to not wanting to go home empty-handed, so you settle for a consolation prize instead. Again, I think this scenario is fairly common, especially in boutiques like Chanel or Hermes, where you may have your heart set on an item that in the end you weren't able to get, and so you decide to buy something else instead so it wouldn't be a waste of a trip. Now, in my case, it was the Chanel mini flap. I had originally wanted it and the boutique had it, but when I went to the boutique, the quality of the bag that they had in stock was astoundingly bad. Unfortunately, I didn't get to take pictures of it. It looked straight up janky, and that was probably why it was available. It was a return purchase, come to find out. So clearly the bag had issues, and knowing that it would probably be a long wait before I had the opportunity to come across the mini flap again if I wanted it directly from the boutique, they just so happened to have a wallet on chain available as well. And in my mind, the wallet on chain was less expensive, so it was definitely already in my budget with some left over to spare. And again, I didn't want to leave the boutique empty-handed without a purchase when I had thought for sure I was going to go home with a new Chanel purse. So that's how I ended up with this wallet on chain in my collection. And to date, this is still the only wallet on chain that I have, and I don't see the need to get another, even from another brand at the moment. So I think a lot of us are fairly familiar with the Chanel wallet on chain. This is in the caviar, in the color beige, with the silver tone hardware. It definitely is a small bag. It can fit your essentials and not much else. However, depending on how much you normally take out with you, I personally don't carry a lot of things when I go out, so this is just fine for me. And so again, this is how I ended up with the wallet on chain in my collection. So adding up all these purchases, that's a total of almost $8,000, not including taxes. And these are just examples of instances where I've done this, and it's scary to think of the total amount I might have spent impulsively over the course of my lifetime. But on the bright side, now that I understand the conditions under which I'm more prone to impulse purchasing, I can better prepare for those moments of weaknesses, right? And so if I know I'm prone to impulse buying at the outlet store, maybe I should avoid going to the outlet store. But should I avoid going on vacations as well? Should I avoid being present with my spouse when he shops? That may not make the most sense. Now, I think the best action to address any of these situations is just to have a plan for all of my future luxury purchases. And I think there are two types of plans. One, a plan for how much I can spend from my luxury purchase fund on items I don't even know I want yet. Yes, I can protect myself financially by only spending money that has already been designated for luxury purchases, but it doesn't mean I actually need any of these unnecessary purchases to begin with. Now, as much as I can, my actual plans are more along the lines of a second type of plan, a plan for the exact item I am wanting for my collection. So whether I'm on vacation, at the outlets, I need to be okay with leaving stuff on the table if it's not on my list. And in a previous video, I talked about how I narrow this list down. So if you're interested, please check that out. Now, I'm still working on having that mindset perfected, but I know at the end of the day, my wallet and my closet will thank me. And I hope you found this useful or relatable to your own shopping experiences. And I know once you take charge of your own impulse shopping triggers, then your wallet and closet will thank you as well.